driving back in from one of my favorite stores. Great customer service, Advanced Auto Parts. They always do me right. I have a little old man who's a neighbor at the end of my road who's not very mobile anymore, without a cane, and he's got a very old truck. It's on its last leg. And the other day when he was driving it, all of a sudden it just shut off and he could get it to crank, but there was no spark. It wouldn't ignite in the ignition system. And I was suspectant of the ignition module, and then I did a little research, and that's pretty common on those vehicles. And that's just this device here that basically tries to tell the engine that, or the ignition control module, that it's ready to send spark forward. And if it can, then it will. If not, it won't, and you won't get any ignition start. So it's a relatively cheap part. There are some things to know about this part here. This one specifically from Advanced Auto has a lifetime warranty, which is awesome. These, if the symptom of your vehicle not working was it was driving and then just all of a sudden stopped, these experience heat death often. So they get too hot and then they die. This comes with some thermal paste on the inside here, and that will allow you to take the heat away from the device. And you can see that white paste on the back of this from this aluminum face. Now, these are unique to year models and things of that nature, but all of that to say, I believe this is a pretty quick and easy fix. The only things that I would be really mindful of, which I already did on this diagnostics project, was when I remove the ignition coil distributor plugs, I label them with Scotch tape so that I don't forget what order they went in, because that will make more problems than you need to solve. So that all to say that the project I've got going on here today, I know I left it in gear and I shouldn't have, is this little old 1988 Chevy C1500. And this is the bigger engine, so this one is the 5.7, and I've taken apart the top here, and what I do is, before I take off any of the distributor plugs, I index the first two, so 1 and 2, so I know which way I started counting, and then each one of those I put on a flag there. And on the back of the unit, right back there, you can see that surface with the paste right down in there. That is where this module will go. And this should be able to get this thing to fire back up. But these older vehicles, a lot of folks aren't really great at working on them or knowing what to diagnose in these instances. And so he brought it to a shop and they couldn't even get him out the door with a solution. So they had him tow it all the way home, and he needed a ride a couple days ago. And so I asked him what happened to his truck, and he told me it's parked now because of that. So we're gonna put this thing back together and get it fired up for him so he doesn't have to worry about that. And he can self-service his way around and not have to be dependent on anyone. That's what I like to make sure he's got it. And we got some extra work to do on the inside door panel there. His handle doesn't work, so I'll disassemble that and rebuild the linkage too. But this is what my Sunday looks like, rebuilding an old engine, or at least not rebuilding, I should say, but diagnosing and putting it back together. And you'll see, this is why you number these. For me, at least, it's easier. Obviously, I did the 1 and the 2, so I know where I started and where they go. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, this one is just the input to it. The trick here is that you'll see that number 2, 3, or 1, 2, and then 3 comes from the other side. So you have to just memorize that, which I highly recommend not doing unless you're really good at memorization. I just label it. Just make it easy. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to trace the wire. It's already written on it. Okay, it's all buttoned back up. Let's see what the moment of truth says about getting this thing fired up. Check gauges. Runs a little rough, but there it is. This is why you don't bring it to shops. Call your neighbor who knows what they're doing. This thing runs like a top. Engine was a little flooded because it had been tried to start too many times, so a little too much gas in there, but it's all good now. Now I'll do another project. I'll make another video, but I'll disassemble this door and get this latch working, because he's been having to open the passenger door from the outside and then use his cane to push over this door open for him so he can use his truck. But all back together again.